Welcome back to Talk of the Town on 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com.
And welcome back to Talk of the Town for this Thursday, July 23rd. I'm Gary Stevens. It was a monthly occurrence that we chatted with our next guest that sort of was put on hold because of the COVID-19 situation. But perhaps a sign that things are getting back to normal somewhat is that Steve Redmond, president of the Ottawa County Patriots, rejoins us. He's chatting with us today via Zoom connection from his home. Steve, good morning and welcome back to Talk of the Town. It's been a while.
Yes, it has, Gary. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, and good to be seen as well. You can join in the conversation, not via Zoom, but via the old-fashioned phone line at 395-1450, 395-1450. I don't want to say that the Ottawa County Patriots are making up for lost time, but 2 meetings in a month, that's a little bit more than what we've seen from the Patriots over the few years it's been in existence.
Well, actually, years ago, we did meet twice a month, Gary, but when I became president, I felt it was a bit much, so we cut it down to about 8 to 10 times a year. The reason we're doing 2 meetings this August is we had scheduled a July meeting, but we couldn't find a suitable venue where we could have more than 25 people. So we moved that July meeting to the August 11th. So we're doing basically 2 panel forums in August, and the topic is the same, but the particulars are different. The overall topic is, what the heck happened to America, and what can we do about it? And we've broken it into 2 pieces. On August 11, we're going to be meeting at 7 o'clock at the Lighthouse Baptist Church on 501 East 24th Street, right near Bob Evans and Highway 31, and doors open at 6:30. And the topic on August 11th is COVID-19, separating fact from fiction, and also Black Lives Matter, exposing the truth behind this nonprofit organization. And then we have a different topic in August 25th. I'll go over that a little bit later. But on August 11th, which is coming up the soonest, we have a panelist of doctors, we have a PhD epidemiologist from the U of M, and we'll really be trying to separate fact from fiction about this virus that's taken the country and the world by storm. One of my concerns has been that there's so much hysteria and fear that's been rendered about this, is that if you want different facts, you pick a different TV channel or a different doctor to talk to. So we're trying to cut through the confusion and get people accurate and factual information. And that's what we're trying to do with the panel we have assembled. We're still gathering some of our medical people, so we don't have all the names of all the speakers yet, but it's going to be an all-star panel of people that are knowledgeable and credible about this particular virus. And then the second topic is going to be Black Lives Matter. That's also taken the country by storm, and many people are donating money and marching and so forth. And we're going to really delve into, what is it really? Is it really a civil rights group or something else? And we're going to go into its history. We're going to go into its philosophy. We're going to dig into its website. And I think it might surprise a number of your listeners to find out that it's more of a wolf in sheep's clothing than a legitimate civil rights group. So that's our August 11th meeting. On August 25th, we're covering some other big topics. As you know, we try to tackle the tough water cooler issues of the day. That's got 3 topics: defunding or defending our police. What impacts will this have on our community? Racism in America. A look at the history and the rhetoric about this important issue. And violence in America. What are its causes and what are the remedies? And we have a great panel for that, a number of good people, including Lieutenant Colonel Denny Gillum, Mike Hewitt from the Mike Hewitt Show, and other people. But we were assembling really good speakers on all these topics, and we felt this is critical for people that want to get up to date with factual information, because there's been so much confusion and hysteria that a lot of your listeners and probably some of our members are still hiding under their bed because they think it's too dangerous to come out. And we're going to try to educate them and encourage them and help them separate the fact from the fiction.
Before we talk a little bit more about the topics itself for the two meetings under the one umbrella, trying to get the two meetings set up, trying to find a venue, try to make sure that health concerns of people involved. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we're going to take reasonable precautions. We have no-touch thermometers. Your temperature will be checked at the door. If you are sick, coughing, sneezing, or have a fever, don't come. We're going to videotape the meeting and put it on YouTube so you can see it if you can't come to the meeting. But if you're sick, don't come because you'll be turned away. If you're running a fever, don't come, you'll be turned away. We encourage people to wear masks. We'll have some at the door, and we'll be spacing people out in the seating. As far as our usual snacks and things, we're changing that. There won't be any coffee. We'll have just bottled water and prepackaged snacks. We're taking all the precautions that are reasonable. We'll have all sorts of hand washing stuff there. So we're taking all the reasonable precautions that you would expect us to take. But we still are encouraging people to come to the meeting. There's plenty of seats to spread out, and we'll take good care of folks that are there. But we're taking all the reasonable precautions you would expect any group to take.
A couple of things. You addressed one of them, talking about possibility of having a virtual situation in this regard, but it might not be live virtual, but it will be a recorded situation, right?
That's correct.
And the other question is, for those who maybe cannot make it, can they submit questions through the website, which is OttawaCountyPatriots.org, or find a way to maybe have some of their questions that could possibly be posed if they can't be there in person?
Yeah, that's going to be tougher to do. We're not that technically adept yet. We're going to videotape the meeting and all the Q&A and everything, and we're going to put that on our website and link it up to YouTube. But that's after the fact. So it won't be a live event for people that would go to our website. It's going to be taped after the fact.
I was more thinking of maybe somebody might want to put a question now or submit something to the Patriots that they might want to ask later on, ask at the meeting itself. Is that was the question I was asking you, Steve, is whether or not they can submit questions to the Patriots ahead of time?
I would say just send it to my attention or my email, steveredmond12@yahoo.com, and we'll definitely see that their question gets serious consideration.
395-1450. Let's take a call. We are talking with Steve Redmond of the Ottawa County Patriots. Good morning. You're on the line with Steve.
Yes, Steve. I'm a Park Township resident, and I noticed that you're running for a trustee position. And
Yes,
I've always enjoyed listening to the Patriots talk. But now, we were one of the 700-some people that got forced into paying for a drain, that we didn't have any water problems. And we have to pay that for 20 years. Now, we all went to the Park Township Hall that day, one day back then, and heard people crying how this was going to be devastating for them. And nobody cared. We were told right before we went in, we're not changing our mind. So why were we there? So how would you have been part, and I know this Cheeto or whatever he is going for supervisor. How would you guys have handled something like that?
Well, I'm one of the people that are paying that 20-year tax, and recently we had a lot of water from the rain, and it was coming in, but what saved me wasn't the Park West drain. It was the 10 grand I invested in pumps and drain tiles, and a lot of my neighbors did too. So you raise a legitimate issue. It's a little bit off topic, but I'll speak to it briefly. Basically, what happened is Park Township at the time panicked. They didn't know what to do. They set up a meeting. They formed a drain commission, and what we didn't realize once the drain commission was formed was that that's a law that goes back to the 1930s, I believe. You had no rights. You had no standing. and even the Park Township Board, which did have standing because they initiated the thing, wouldn't write a letter on our behalf. So I was at a lot of those PAC meetings and I was speaking up. And one of the reasons I'm running for Park Township trustee is never again. They handle it badly, and I believe it could have been done differently. And if I get elected to the trustee position, there's 4 of them, there's 10 people running. One of the things I will do is make sure to try to stop any foolish like that again, and make sure that all the citizens are heard, because I think that elected officials should be servant leaders, not totalitarian dictators. And that's one of the reasons I'm running. But that's not the topic today, so I think we're getting a little bit far afield.
Thank you very much, Steve, and you will be getting my vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate the call. 395-1450, 395-1450. And again, this is not a political conversation for Steve Redmond for trustee, and we'll save that for another time. Let's focus our attention on questions involving the Ottawa County Patriots and the 2 meetings on August 11th and August 25th. What the heck happened to America? What can we do about it? 7 to 9 p.m. It will be at Lighthouse Baptist Church on 24th Street near US 31. It's a different venue than normal because the normal venue for the Patriots, which has been the Howard Miller Community Center in Zeeland, restricted in size. Off the top of your head, how many people can the church accommodate for this particular function?
It's a pretty good sized church. They can hold hundreds of people. Our usual attendance is anywhere from 50 to 100 people. The church can easily accommodate that and spread them out. The highest we've ever had is about 170 people. I don't think we'll get that many because so many people are, just concerned about the virus. But we should easily be able to handle up to 150 people, and I don't think we'll get that high. But the church has a big parking lot. We're taking all reasonable precautions, and we will spread people out inside the sanctuary.
Again, if you have a question, yes, go ahead. If you have a question for Steve Redmond, you give us a call, 395-1450, 395-1450. Steve?
One thing to share, Gary, because some of the listeners may be new to who the Patriots are, our mission is pretty basic. We've been around for 10 years, and our mission statement is pretty clear. Our goal is to promote awareness and understanding of American government, the free enterprise system, traditional American values, and related political or civic issues through education and citizen involvement. We believe that to be a good citizen, you have to be well informed. And if you're going to go out and vote or be active in the community, you should be making well-reasoned decisions, and that requires accurate, factual information on which to base your decisions. That's what we strive for, and we strive for that in all our meetings, to have accurate, timely information from the best sources that we can find to speak on the topics.
Steve, I want to bring this up, and I'm a little bit hesitant to bring this particular subject up, but the Patriots are certainly doing it during the August 11th meeting. The Black Lives Matter movement, and you used the term wolf in sheep's clothing. Explain a little bit more about that as to why you are saying that.
Well, part of it is they're a 501c3 charitable organization. I believe that's how they were founded. And I ran organizations like that for many years that were charitably based. And so they claim to be a civil rights movement trying to uplift people of color and improve their lives. But when you go on their website and you look at what they really stand for and who the founders of the organization are and who the leaders are, you get a very different picture. This is not a legitimate civil rights movement. Well, almost all citizens have great respect for the dignity of all people. And I grew up, I'm 72, I'll be 73 in December. I grew up during the civil rights era, and we did march and we did support Martin Luther King, and he was a great man. This is not Martin Luther King's legacy movement. This is a group that's seeking power. They have radical underpinnings. One of the founders is a trained Marxist and makes no bones about it. They seek things in their philosophy that would be abhorrent to many of your listeners, including abolition of the traditional family. This is not a legitimate civil rights group, and we'll get into details and we'll have facts, not just opinions, not just emotion. We will delve into the history of it, the philosophy of it, the underpinnings, where this movement came from. They're extremely well funded. There's estimates that they have many hundreds of millions of dollars that have been given them by foundations and individuals. And it's not a legitimate civil rights group, but most people think it is. And many of our young people are confused, and many of our age peers are confused. And, you know, they're well-intentioned, but the people get caught up in it. But the leaders of the movement and the founders of the movement are something different altogether. This show doesn't give us enough time to go into all the detail. That's where we want to do the tease and encourage people to come, because we will give you factual information, in-depth analysis from reputable sources to really explain this movement in more detail.
Good morning. You're on the line with Steve Redmond of the Ottawa County Patriots.
Hi, Gary and Steve. From what I have read, and I understand, the two women that named this Black Lives Matter are from Venezuela, and they are trying to overturn our government to be like it is in Venezuela, where the average Venezuelan has lost 28 pounds because of lack of food. So I don't think these women are really caring about the Black people in America. I think it was just started to really get protesters going. And I understand the protesting, but I feel a lot of people that I've talked to have turned against the Black because of the looting and the rioting and the burning of buildings. That has no place here in America. If they want to protest, that's wonderful, that's great, they have the right. But what they've done has turned a lot of people off for their cause. So that's all I wanted to do.
All right. Appreciate the call. Thank you very much for it.
I'd like to comment on that. You make some very good points. I can't remember if they're both from Venezuela, but what is going on is not encouraging more respect for people of color and uplifting our fellow citizens. And in fact, you might be interested in a lot of the rioting. There's only, I heard an estimate the other day, about 11% of the people actively participating in, you know, the violent stuff, maybe 10, 11% Black. Everybody else is white. And so there's people that are taking advantage of this, which I think the average citizen respects civil rights. I don't think the majority of our citizens are racist. And so they get caught up in this thing. But the violence is another thing altogether. You know, breaking the window and taking a 50-inch color TV, I have a hard time figuring out how that uplifts our fellow citizens and promotes civil rights. I think it's more looting and rioting for the fun of it. But Black Lives Matter is not what many people think it is. And please come to our meeting, or at least look us up on the website after the meeting, a couple days after, because most people are not aware. I think Stalin once said that many people can be brought into their cause, and he called them useful idiots, and they would create a cause, sort of a wolf in sheep's clothing. They'd get a Black entertainer or an athlete, and they'd form a club, the Marcus Garvey Club or the Paul Robeson Club. They'd pull minorities into it thinking it was going to lift them up and help them. And
Surprise.
It was just basically using them for a cover for nefarious activities. So,
yep, indeed. Steve, we're out of time. We'll have a link to the Ottawa County Patriots and the meetings on August 11th to 25th. We put the podcast up on our website at WHTC.com. Wish you well. Look forward to chatting with you again, hopefully in August.
Thanks, Gary.
Thank you very much. That is Steve Redmond of the Ottawa County Patriots on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC. CBS News is next on the hour.